Hey y'all, some of you southern folks, especially East Texas and rural, know exactly what that is. More than just a watermelon, that's a black diamond, and this field is full of it, along with some weeds. But that's some good ground. First time that I remember, so it's been decades that watermelons have grown on this exact patch of dirt. And of course, with the vines, the weeds kind of get away from you, but it's kind of hard to tell. Let me see if I can turn around. It is solid watermelons out here all the way through. We cut one for July 4th. It was a little bit not quite ripe, but it was getting there. But we've got a field full of them. We've probably got another good week before these are really good and ready to pull. I see that on that end of the patch, the coons couldn't wait, so they tore into one, and I guess they got what they wanted. They got tore one up, but it wasn't quite red like they wanted it, I guess, but they enjoyed it just the same. My cousin was telling me how on this hill, an old raccoon will come along and cut one off the vine and roll it down the hill. Take it off and eat it. But I imagine they're staying on that end because old Hudson's guarding this end, so they ain't wanting to get too close to that dog. It's been a good day, kind of cooler here. That Hudson, he's something else. He's fine till I go to talking, and then he gets excited, I guess. But we're kind of in God's natural oscillating sprinkler today, and I know some of the folks, neighbors to the east of us and south, are getting pounded with this tropical storm, but it's sure been a blessing here. Been through a lot of tropical storms in my life growing up in Huntsville and on 45 there with Alicia and several others, and they're always such a wonder to me. And all afternoon we'll get a little cloud bank come in from the north, sprinkle on us, and then clear skies, and it'll make another rotation and come through again. And had to get my tomato plants in. So I started off playing in the dirt and the dust, and then ended up on the end of the road by the time that next wave hit us. Just a nice little sprinkling. Ended up making mud pies. But at least the tomatoes are in, and got a little watering in from the good Lord's oscillating sprinkler. So maybe I can do a quick video before the next round hits us. It's not bad at all. It's just a nice little light rain here. But we remember those that are getting deluged right now from the rest of the winds and the heavy rain that comes with a tropical storm. We still in transition. I'm still finishing up the Crowder peas. Of course, the weeds have overtaken them. And speaking of weeds, weeds really something, doesn't always have to be a nuisance plant. It's just something growing where you don't want it. And y'all can see those green sprouts there. I still say that if I dropped a concrete seed on this ground, it'd come up a slab. Me and Jordan mowed down the purple holes. They had a few little dried pea pods on them as they would. And got all that kind of cultivated and tilled under last weekend. And I've got corn planted on the outside here. And lo and behold, a couple of days ago, I've got a straight line. I didn't plant them. It was just off the mower. Straight line of purple hull pea plants coming up right in the middle of the corn row. So unfortunately they're a weed on this side of the garden. I've got to till them up, but that's something. I didn't do a thing to it but sling it out with that mower blade, and it planted itself, and here we go again. He's grown quite wary of shelling those peas. Would do good reason, I guess. But I told him I was planting some more, and he just looked at me. I told him we had a few months so in between the shelling, so maybe his tiredness will recoup. We got some new residents on the place. Been asking a few folks buying chicken feed if they had a rooster or two to get rid of, and most of them had some young ones, and I'm sure we've got some young ones coming on. I'll probably be up to my neck in roosters when these get big, but young lady this afternoon lives out Douglas way. Was glad to hear that I needed some roosters because she had too many, way too many. And that can happen quick. So we've got a couple of new ones on the place. I'm gonna go ahead and name them right out the bat. That's gonna be Leghorn right there, or Foghorn Leghorn right there. That is a about a year-old Leghorn making his cameo. Well, the other one's doing his job, so I better wait on showing that. Anyway, this other one is a brown Leghorn from what I'm told. Here he goes. We'll call him Duke. And so I guess we're back into fertile egg production here pretty quick. As soon as I let them out of the little transit carrier in the coop, letting them get kind of acclimated. I don't have it about 17 hens left. Only about 10, about 7 of them are breeding age. But them old boys jumped out of that coop and thought they was gonna go straight to work. And them seasoned hens kind of put them in check pretty quick. I think it was just a little bit too soon. So that Foghorn got his feelings hurt. I think he climbed up into a nesting box and just pouted for about 2 hours. But maybe they'll get acquainted and we'll have some more chicks on the way. I got a bunch of them growing, but they're pretty little old fellas. Hopefully we've got that old Bobcat at bay. He hadn't been here in a few nights. Don't think it's totally over, but I dug out my old steel traps, and I'm not sitting in that tree every night, and I ain't got time to do that. Got to get some sleep. So I've got some old steel traps around that tree that he likes to climb, and of course it's all smelled up with me and scent and all. He'll be a little skittish of it at first, but that'll still keep him out. Maybe I'll walk out there and he'll be on the end of a chain one morning, and that mess will be gone for now. But that's just how we're gonna do it. I was thinking along that line about how these peas came up, and nature just isn't random. It's got a purpose and a way to do things. And even that old Bobcat's got to eat. And so many nights just going to bed worried maybe he's going to get in the chicken house that night. Maybe I need to be sitting in the tree that night just worrying about stuff. Couple that with just watching folks on social media from a distance, and folks I've known in the past or whatever, and kind of see them get all up in arms. I used to do the same thing about whatever little issues going on, whether it be politics or something on the news, or maybe one of the family members. They're just getting all out of sorts and staying up at night worried about that stuff. Just stressing. That old Bobcat ain't giving a second thought to whether or not I'm worried about him coming back. Chances are them old boys up in Washington ain't worried about what you're thinking either. And we're carrying it around like a bag of rocks when we could be living. Somebody asked me something the other day about politics, and used to I could have told you the subset of the bill that was up for grabs, and whatever we was talking about I had no clue, and was happy I didn't. Of course, you got to be responsible and pay attention, but moderation in all things, the old good book says. So this old farm has taught me a lot of patience and calmness, I guess. So I'm blessed with that. Talking about that, a couple old monks were walking back one evening from the village back to the monastery, and it had been raining, a few puddles on the road. And they rounded a curve, and there was a beautiful young lady standing there, kind of stuck. She couldn't cross the puddles. So I stood there a minute, and the elder monk walked over and kind of scooped her up, carried her across the puddle, and sat her down, and they left her there and walked on about their business, got to the monastery. Set that young monk to thinking. He couldn't figure it out. And that evening, before prayer, he went up to the elder monk. He said, "Brother, I have to ask you, today on that road, we're not supposed to touch a woman. It's our vow. And you picked her up and set her on the other side." The elder monk looked at him and he said, "Well, I did. But the difference is I left her there in the road, and you're still carrying her." Pretty good old proverb. He said, when you're walking, walk. When you're talking, talk. Outside of that, just let it be. I think we could all do that a little bit better. What you think? I'm sure trying, and I ain't even gonna think about that Bobcat tonight. Just maybe a big old bowl of Bluebell. I'm wondering when them peas will be ready, or the watermelons. But I reckon I might as well not worry about that either. It'll come when it's time. Let me do a quick roll call. It's getting a little dark in the north, so we're about to have another round of oscillation, and I'm loving it because it's just the right amount of rain on them old tomato plants out there. For those of you following along, that other 200 I planted, lost every one of them. And Mr. McCarty was in the store this morning, and he's been farming out past a nursery out there. I forget what road it's on. Y'all that know. Been selling tomatoes for a long time. He's telling me he's thinking about hanging it up. Been doing it for years. I hated to hear that, but had to ask him about my tomatoes and told him what all the folks and blogs say. He looked at me with lots of experience and wisdom and said, "Son, that's a fungus in the soil. I've had it before. You got to treat the soil. It ain't a cutworm." And I kind of suspected that. And he said, "You can't plant there again until you treat it." So I moved it, and just kind of cool to hear good wisdom. I think I need to get my Uncle Nolan up this way, or my Uncle Buddy, help me figure out when to pick these watermelons. And don't tell me about thumping and all that. These old boys have got it in their blood. They've been selling melons since 12. So even if you know, I want wisdom to speak and say, "That one's ready, son." That's how it's supposed to be, right? And then I'll know it, and then we can thump it. How's that? Not being ugly, just saying. All right, I said I was going to do a roll call. Let me do that, and we'll jump off here and call it an evening. If y'all see that bobcat jump up behind me, let me know. So I may not hear a rattle. I'll get out of here. Hey, there's Alicia. How are you? I was out there tilling up and hit a few rocks, and you crossed my mind. I know how you like all those rocks. These ain't much count, but they're out of the garden now. There's Miss Donna down Houston Way. How are you? Pamela's Black Diamond. That's right. That's right. Carrie's checking in. Carrie and Kelly Templeton. Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate all you do. There's Cherie. Oh, goodness. I better stick with the first name there. Montgomery County, Texas. Thanks for checking in. Connie saying howdy from Whitesboro, Texas. Miss Sanders in the house. Hope all of your medical procedures over the last week or two went okay for you, ma'am. Been thinking about you in prayer. There's Miss Margaret. Hot and no rain in San Antonio. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sure liking it here. Take what we can get, right? There's Miss Terry. How are you, ma'am? I did say watermelon. Sure did. There's about, I think I counted 45 or 50 out there. I guess that's what happens when you put it in the right ground. Those few I grew here last year. I've never grown watermelons before, and not of any count. And we had about one watermelon on a vine last year, and I thought maybe that was the norm. And I'm out there and I'm seeing, 5, 10 on one plant. I'm like, whoa, that's even better. So I thought I was gonna have 48 because I had 48 plants, but I think we're gonna get closer to maybe 100. So I might have to throw some in the back of the truck and sell them. I don't know if I put the word out with family and friends, we may not have to worry with that, right? We'll see. Are they following me, the chickens? I didn't even see it. There's Patricia from North Carolina. Miss Sharon from Corpus Christi. Aggie's checking in. Yeah, that's right. And Sandra's saying howdy again. There's Miss Janie up Cincinnati way. She's coming down to Texas. Well, thank you. Big fan of my good buddy Tony Ramey. I'm assuming she's headed to Fort Worth. That's where I saw her when I was on the road, and met through some fans there. There's a top fan, Miss Kimberly Fowler, checking in. How are you? Let's see, Kelly's talking again. Let's see, me and Carrie were going to sit out here in West Texas wishing we had some of those watermelons with some purple hulls. Well, I got some here. I don't know about shipping, but you're welcome to come get them. It might even be worth the drive. You never know. That's a long one, though. Felicia's checking in. There's Miss Dorothy. It's been good so far. I don't know about restful. Of course, everybody's got a hobby. I guess I don't know when hobby turns to work, but I think I've crossed the line way back. Let's see. There's my good buddy Chris over in Louisiana. Hope y'all are ducked down from all that rain and wind. And I know you've had some tragedies here of late. Steady in our prayers for sure, Chris. Love you much. Thank you, Kelly. There's Miss Margie, good dear friend. Thank you. Miss Carolyn's on. There's Aggie again. Carolyn in South Carolina. I'm trying to keep up here. Guess that's the problem with reading comments after I done rambled for 30 minutes. I'm out of context, right? Miss Debbie saying howdy. And Linda, how are you, ma'am? There's Miss Stephanie. And Joanna Smith, praying for you and your recent losses too, ma'am. Appreciate all you do and what you stand for and your support. And that grief ain't nothing fun for sure. Sure ain't. There's Jerry in Arkansas. Thank the good Lord for the rain. That's right. How about you organize a harvest celebration at your place for your followers? Boy, that'd be a mess, wouldn't it? I guess we could. For all of y'all into eco trips, my cousin and I have been talking, and he's got the tractor and the equipment to do it. And he's my older cousin, and he's the gentleman come out here to try to help me with that Bobcat. He's got farming in his blood too, but neither one of us have time on our own. But if we partner up, y'all might want to plan a pea picking trip for next June, about mid to late June. I think he and I are going to tackle that whole pasture and take those trees out, those little old pear trees, and put all that in peas. So we'll have about 1.5 acres, 2 acres of peas out there. And I think it'll be a pick your own situation. I'm pretty confident of that. So if I got 15 off 4 rows, 15 bushels, my calculation, we might end up with 200, 250 bushels on that. So I imagine you can come pick them pretty cheap. Jordan probably will move out on me at that point. I better not tell him. Well, I hope he don't watch this. He won't know what's going to hit him. Don't want to give him any advance warning, do we? There's Dave, Northeast Pennsylvania. All right, I'm going to give it a shot here. Lackawaxen, Pennsylvania. Sure, that's right. My good buddy Brenda down south. And let's see. Carolyn, land of the Stanley Cup winner. All right, I can't remember where I think. Are you in Georgia or Alabama? I hadn't filled my head with the Stanley Cup. I like it, but I just hadn't followed it this year. I'm sorry, Miss Carolyn. For your egg count, I got 4. That's it. Got about 17 hens out there and only 4. Between that Bobcat and just all the drama, they're not laying as much. But we got some biddies coming on and roosters in there, so maybe it'll be a little better. Hello, Miss Pam. How are you? And Rhonda's saying howdy. All right, I think that's a good round for the evening, and we'll call it a night. Looking forward to spend some time with Dad and all over in Huntington at church tomorrow. And I hope y'all are going to go celebrate your faith. But leave that stress right on the side of the road, right where it belongs. Be like that old monk and just leave it where you left it. That'll work, huh? Y'all have a good evening. Be the light.